Hello and welcome to GUTV's second week of Bracketology. I'm Maggie Fisher.
And I'm Sarah Mraz. Tonight we'll be discussing basketball. For those of you who don't know what it is, let us explain.
You see, basketball is a sport where you kick around a little black and white ball. You can only use your feet.
Yes, that part is very important. You need to kick the ball into the goal to score, but make sure you also knock over all 10 pins.
No, you guys, that's like a weird combination of soccer and bowling. That's definitely wrong.
Nick, I think I know what I'm talking about. You know, basketball, where they run around the bases to score a run.
That's baseball!
Oh, so that's why they call it baseball. You know, Nick, you may be right. Well, let's stop talking semantics and start talking brackets.
To start things off, this is GUTV's 5-year anniversary doing Bracketology, an annual show where we give you our input and updates about March Madness. On last week's Bracketology, we asked our viewers to donate to our program and also to make a bracket for the tournament.
In the past, we've used this donation money to upgrade our production control room and more recently provide a motion graphics suite for our students. This year, the money is going to GUTV students participating in the Camino de Santiago, a pilgrimage in Europe to Santiago Compostela Cathedral in Spain. So thank you to those who've donated to make this trip possible. Now, on to our own brackets. In the alumni group, in third place, we have Kenny Pravitz, creator of the first game show in GUTV history. Well, Kenny, you might have been the first in game shows, but you're third in the bracket. Ouch.
Ooh, really, Maggie? Where are you in your bracket?
I'm 57. So, Justin Howard is number 2, a GU grad in 2008. He currently works for Demand Force, marketing consultants in the Bay Area. And then at number 1, we have Wiley Post, executive producer at KGW in Portland. Wiley was generous enough to be interviewed for the sit-down show earlier this year. Thank you, Wiley. In the family and friends bracket, number 3 is Mike Macris. Number 2 is Erin Shogan, Dan Garrity's daughter. This is an interesting form of nepotism, Dan, because she's beating all of us, and yet she doesn't even have Gonzaga going all the way. Blasphemy. At number 1, we've got Rustin Bradshaw, who's bringing it in, and he is the friend of our engineer, Tim Spalding. Now to the current students. At number 3, we've got Reed Vido, director of this very show. And at number 2, we've got Nick Joyce, floor director of the show, and busybody, who keeps telling us how to run our show and how to figure out sports. At number 1, we've got Veronica Murray, junior and a fellow GUTV student. Glad to see that our current students are representing.
Our fourth bracket, the mascot bracket, was voted on by our viewers. Rob Harris, our social media chair, in the tweet seat with the results. What can you tell us, Rob?
Thanks, Sarah. I'm here in the tweet suite, and for those of you out there who, like our co-hosts, might not know the difference between a ball and a puck or a court and a field, we have a new bracket this year, Mascot Madness. Essentially, we picked 8 of the most off-the-wall mascots from around the country, and we're putting them head-to-head to see who comes out on top. This week we are seeing Peter the Anteater and Little Ruff the Terrier go at it, not on the court, but rather old school rock, paper, scissors. GUTV's Caroline Work sat down with them to get the inside scoop.
Good evening and welcome to the first of our Bracketology Mascot Madness competitions. I'm Caroline Work. Last week we asked you to pick from a series of 8 mascots that might not be your usual household pet. Let's see who you voted for.
I'm Little Ruff. I'm the Woof Terrier.
I'm Peter, the Anteater from UC Irvine, but you can just call me Pete, whatever.
Pete, nice to have met you. All right, Little Ruff, can you tell us how you're feeling about this competition today?
Frankly, no pun intended, I think we're the underdog. The Anteaters, they're barking up the wrong tree, and we have it rough, but I think we can overcome it, to be honest. I'm excited to see what happens.
Excellent, excellent. And Pete, how about yourself? How are you feeling?
Well, I feel very honored to be a part of this competition. You know, many people think anteaters are just hairy slugs that don't care about anything, but I think we're going to try really hard. A lot of ants in broadcasting, I don't know why. But yeah, we're going to try really hard and win it all this year.
Okay. All right. Well, now's the moment you've all been waiting for, the competition itself. All right, you two, battle stations.
It's going to be a little rough when you lose today.
Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors.
Woo! Thank you. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you.
Congratulations, Pete. It was well won. All right, well, stay tuned for next week when the Wichita State Shockers take on the UAB Blazers in the next round of Mascot Madness. Thanks for watching.
Lot of animal puns. If I had $1 for every one, I might not be eating top ramen for the 7th night in a row. Thank you so much, Caroline, for sitting down, getting the inside scoop. Tune in next week to see the next installment of Mascot Madness. The Blazers take on the Shockers. Maggie, Sarah, back to you. I know that Villanova's upset destroyed my bracket. How are you guys doing?
You're telling me, Rob. That last upset almost killed me. I had Gryffindor going to the Final Four, and then Hufflepuff just snuck up and took over.
Those Hufflepuffs really have some fight in them.
Those are fictional characters from Harry Potter.
Oh, yep. Yep. You know, Rob, my bracket is not doing well. Here are the biggest bracket-busting games of the weekend. In the Midwest, we go to the bottom part of the region in Omaha, Nebraska. Wichita State and Kansas cruise to the 3rd round with wins over Indiana and New Mexico State in a battle for Sunflower State supremacy. The 7-seed Shockers zapped the 2-seed Jayhawks. The two schools, separated by just a 2-hour drive, played their first game against each other since 1993.
To the East region, where all sorts of March Madness has ensued, at the top of the bracket in Pittsburgh, top seed Villanova in their home state of Pennsylvania handled their first game matchup against Lafayette. And the other game, NC State needed a buzzer-beating tip-in to beat LSU. The Wolfpack took on the heavily favored Wildcats in the round of 32 and came away with a big upset. Villanova was the first #1 seed to lose so far.
Down to the South region in Louisville, where the craziness started. In just the second game from the second round, 14-seed University of Alabama Birmingham took down the 3-seed Iowa State University. It kicked off a string of upsets throughout the day. That carried over to the former Gonzaga victims matchup of UCLA and SMU. The 11-seed Bruins upset the Mustangs, then cruised to the Sweet 16 with a big win over UAB. They travel to Houston and face a familiar foe on Friday. We'll find out who that is later in the show. But coming up, Rob is going to share the tweets you sent in from the tournament this weekend in Seattle.
That's right, and Maggie and I will update you both on Gonzaga teams as well as taking a look at some non-athlete students who show their skills on the court with a skills competition. This is GUTV Bracketology.
If I can put together a team of street people, sober them up and put them on a job, they will outwork a regular crew 3 to 1. One of their common traits is that they are perfectionists. They are capable of doing excellent work, but when the rest of the world does not live up to their perfectionist expectations, they get personally frustrated and can turn to drink for solace. I found this phenomenon fascinating. And even to this day, I frequently muse on lessons this lesson from the VA official might carry. One obvious lesson is that we cannot let the perfect become the enemy of the good. In a school setting, for example, this might mean that a B is a good grade. There is another lesson. Our world is messy, and our lives are messy. We rarely experience total clarity and certainty. In fact, whenever I think I've arrived at certainty about something, I become suspicious of myself. I think I have learned over the years to carry issues lightly and to live comfortably with ambiguity and mystery. In fact, it is precisely in this ambiguity that I most often find God. I will ask the Lord, "Where are you in all of this?" And God's answer is often a feeling of peace, carrying the message or lesson, don't sweat it, I'm here. I might not have any greater clarity or certainty about the ambiguous situation, but I do sense that all is okay. To turn an old phrase, God's in the midst of the mess, all's right with the world.
Welcome back to GUTV Bracketology. This past weekend, the Zags went to Seattle at Key Arena to take on North Dakota State in Iowa, and we asked you to tweet in pictures either of yourself at the game or watching from home, so let's see some of the things we got in. First up, no stranger to the court, Dan Dickow tweeted in, remembering the good old days. Dan, I think you're still living the good old days with that Diet Coke and Powerade. I'm feeling it. Next we have Stephen Carr, GUTV Director Extraordinaire, along with fellow GUTV student Nick, at night drinking some beer and watching the game as well. Looks like a great time. And our partners at the Gonzaga Bulletin were at the Key Arena covering the event. If you don't recognize the second guy from the left, that's EP of this show, Adam Arak. He's a member of both teams. And we have Ava. She's with a furry Zag friend cheering on the game from home. And finally, Nicole, a fellow GUTV student, was at the game, and she found this man at the game clearly was a little overexcited from the game, knocked him out, but I'm sure he was still living the memories there. Make sure that you tweet in this weekend, hashtag GUTV Madness, to let us know how you're watching the game. And Sarah, Maggie, back to you in the studio.
First, the Zags women's team. They were coming off a loss and earned 11 seed in the tournament. Zags traveled down to Corvallis and ended up stealing the show. On Friday, the women played against 6 seed George Washington. The Colonials couldn't handle the balance of the Bulldogs, and GU advanced to the round of 32. And on Sunday, against 3rd seeded and host team Oregon State, the girls, led by freshman Emma Wolfram, beat the Beavers 76-64. They now head to the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2012. The team will make the trip just down the road to the Spokane Arena to take on the winner of the Pittsburgh and Tennessee game, who are playing as we speak.
For the men, the expectations were different. In what some call the best team in Gonzaga history, the guys earned a 2 seed in Seattle. On Friday, they played 15 seed North Dakota State and held off the upset bid by the Bison. They advanced to take on 7 seed Iowa on Sunday. In front of the Key Arena crowd, the Zags cruised a 20-point win over the Hawkeyes, 87-68. The men move on to the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2009. They take on UCLA, a team they beat who lost in the Sweet 16 in 2006.
Well, in bracketology, we mostly talk about the talented athletes of Gonzaga. We wanted to take a moment to highlight our non-athlete students who have hidden talents outside of the studio and on the court.
What's up, everyone? Vince Allen here, senior at GUTV, and this year I am headed GUTV's All-Star Game competition. If you don't remember from last year, the All-Star Games are a competition where the students of GUTV compete to see who the best baller truly is. Although this is week 2 of bracketology, it's week 1 of the All-Star Games, which means it's time for the skills competition. Let's see how that came out last weekend.
Let's go! Oh God.
Senior Nick Winstead started out our competition this past weekend, finishing with his first easy layup here. And Nick really had a resiliency and just high effort, which earned him a really good respectable time of 54 seconds. You can just see the excitement on his face here. Everybody is pumped up for this competition now. And the freshman phenom, Spencer Martin, coming around the corners here, showing off his smooth moves on that free throw. Finished with a time of 38 seconds. That will get him into the final round. Danny Chastain is up next. The senior finished in second place overall last year. Let's see if he can atone for his sins and finish in first this year. Stephen Carr, another senior, up, and he is showing some really clutch skills here, finishing with a time of 32 seconds, finishing right in between Spencer and Danny. Let's see if that earns him a final spot. Next up, Clinty Mason, the senior, showing some skills, well refined here on his free throws. Misses that last layup, but he gets that fancy putback there. We're not sure if he's pleased about that one. Next up, the final round, the first contestant, Spencer Martin, our freshman finalist. He struggled with his free throws a bit. The wind got to him, but he finishes strong. He gets a time of 1 minute and 28 seconds. Danny Chastain up next, seeing if he can close out this final round. He also struggled on free throws. That wind was killer. He finishes with a time of 56. He's currently in first, but Stephen Carr has something to say about that. Stephen brings his ball skills, finishing with his first pass, his first layup. He finishes with 28 seconds, and he has a little something to say to teammate Danny Chastain. Currently, our all-star standing, Stephen Carr is in first place with 10, Danny Chastain second with 8, Spencer's in third with 7, everyone else has 5.
Well, it's clear that while our GU students have some awesome skills on the basketball court, we have our own platform to thrive. Coming up next, we show our alum and senior of the week doing big things outside of athletics. This is GUTV Bracketology.
Thank you so much for playing GUTV Bracketology. I wish I could express my gratitude individually to the record number, 123 people who are playing, but I only have a couple of minutes. So what I've done is I put down all the numbers of people playing into this hat. I will randomly pick them and thank the person who it corresponds to. Number 18 is Trevor Wright. Well, it just so happens that Trevor Wright was one of the very first students I ever taught here at Gonzaga in the broadcasting program back at the turn of the century. Thank you for playing Bracketology, Trevor. He is now a highly paid professional in the post-production market in Wisconsin. Glad to see that you are still kicking it. Another number here, number 73. Who is 73? That is Bill Rosenberger. He's in the family and friends division. Bill, thank you for playing, and I'm glad your son Brian isn't watching, because around here we always like you and your wife Barb a lot better than Brian. Thanks a lot for playing. And finally, we have number 68. Who is number 68? How crazy this one popped up randomly. Steven Sandberg. Steven sent not just a check, but a letter and a shirt. The shirt is from KBVR. KBVR is the Oregon State University student television program, and now Steven is actually supervising KBVR. So he wrote in his letter, Dan, it's amazing how often I use the lessons I learned at GUTV in my life. Every day I find myself using the valuable stuff I learned from you, Phil, and the rest of GUTV. It served me every day in my TV career, and I can't begin to thank you enough or tell you how much your support has meant to me. Now I'm passing those lessons on to my students at Oregon State. Stephen, I say to you, first of all, thanks a lot for remembering Phil and reminding us that his life and his legacy is going to live on here at GUTV, at least as long as any of us are around here. But thank you also for reminding us about our #1 goal here, and that is to help the students understand how they can live up to the Gonzaga mission professionally long after they graduate from here. I really, really appreciate your kind words and the shirt. And we certainly appreciate any of you who can help us continue this mission. So please, if you're able, donate something. Anything helps. I really appreciate all of your support. We'll see you next time on GUTV Bracketology.
Faster, stronger. That don't kill me, can only make me stronger. I need you to hurry up now, cause I can't wait much longer. I know I got to be right now, cause I can't get much stronger.
Welcome back to GUTV Bracketology. Each week we feature a GUTV alum and senior to highlight our program's pride and success. This show's alum of the week is Grace Ditzler, someone who didn't always know that broadcast journalism would be her path.
My name is Grace Ditzler. I graduated in 2013 from the broadcast program at Gonzaga University, and now I'm currently a reporter at KXLY in Spokane. I've always been really into art and creative stuff. You know, when I came into Gonzaga, I considered at least minoring in fine art, and but then I started, broadcasting was something I was interested in. I took 203 and I just, fell in love with it, and I thought it was a really cool way to be creative in a different way. I just really liked videography, and I like writing, and I like talking to people, and it just seemed to fit. My junior year, I had 2 internships. The summer after my junior year, I worked at a production house in Seattle because I wasn't sure if I wanted to go kind of more creative route. I wasn't sure if reporting was really what I really felt like I wanted to do. So I did an internship at a production house in Seattle, and then an internship at Cairo 7 in Seattle. And it was just so funny. Like 2 days I would be at my production house internships, 2 days I would be at Cairo 7, and I would just dreaded the days that I went to the production house. It was so boring. All I did was just edit the most mundane, horrible things. And then when I was at Cairo, I would go to all this breaking news and cover all these crazy murders. Not that that's like a good thing, but it was exciting, and I just totally fell in love, and I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. And then I really refocused my senior year and dedicated myself to becoming a reporter.
That's right, Aaron. By now, the Zags have arrived in Seattle safely and are waiting for the start for their next game. And meanwhile, back here at Gonzaga, students are waiting to cheer them on.
I have, in both of my jobs, I've felt very prepared. When I went to Montana, I felt like I could completely jump into it and just, obviously there were a lot of things I had to learn, but I had such a solid foundation that I was confident that I could move to Montana by myself and work by myself and just, make it happen. I think that GUTV really prepared me with like the thinking aspect of journalism, like all the ethical issues and all that stuff, because you're gonna have different equipment wherever you go, and you're gonna have different circumstances, but as long as you have a solid foundation of how to solve those ethical problems and how to report with integrity and stuff like that, I think that's something that I learned, especially from Dan, but the whole broadcasting program, and that I've really carried with me as I've moved forward.
Grace mentioned while she was being interviewed that while she was working in Butte, Montana, her camera had no viewfinder, and it was stuck together with duct tape. I'm so glad that we have donations from Bracketology to keep us with top-notch equipment. You can keep donating at donate.watchgutv.com. Your contributions have meant a lot for the students and for the program.
Yes, students like our seniors of the week. Our senior for this show is known on campus for being a talented vocalist, but he aims to use his voice for bigger things outside of music. Meet Matt Vergara.
I always knew that I had a loud personality, that I was someone, not necessarily that I wanted the attention, but there was something, I was told that people always gravitated to me, and I knew that I could use this personality for good, and I could use that to make a living out of. And so I came in undecided to GU, actually, and I never really knew exactly what it is how I could use my gift of being so personable with people. I didn't know how I would do that until I took a broadcasting class. It was 203, and when I had the chance to see what it was like to be a part of a team, to create a show, to create this art, and to be the person to lead it, to be the face of it, I think for me, that was where I was like, this could be a possibility. So after my sophomore year, I declared my major, and from then I just tried to hone that skill. The ultimate goal is to be the next Jimmy Fallon, but I think a way for me to step into that role is through radio, and right now I'm working with KXLY as a promo tech in the radio department. So hopefully that will open up some doors for me to step in and become a DJ. You know, that'd be kind of cool.
Matt's just got so much character and so much passion, and you can see it with the way he walks, the way he talks, the way he smiles. He's just a great person. He's so genuine. He's honest, and he doesn't lie to himself. He knows what he knows, and he knows where he needs to be. He knows how to improve himself. He knows what needs to be recognized, but he also knows that he's got talent, and he's not afraid to admit it, and he's not afraid to take the spotlight and be a boss. I think he's gonna do well. I mean, he wants to do talent, whether it's in music or on the radio, and I think that he's definitely got the personality, the drive, and the smarts to do that.
Fresh. Yeah. GUTV.
Well, actually, Matt taught me how to beatbox too. Boots and cats and boots and cats. Pretty good. Okay. We really appreciate Grace and Matt for taking the time to be interviewed. Actually, we brought them both in the studio today to talk about bracketology. Maggie?
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, both Matt and Grace are here, and Matt, I think she's going to give you a run for your money.
I did not teach her how to beatbox. I did not teach her how to beatbox. No, I'm just kidding. That was great.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for coming today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And how are your brackets doing? I know we talked about some of the upsets.
I don't think I've looked at my brackets since I filled it out, so I can't imagine.
Don't want to jinx it.
Yeah,
just better to leave
win.
it alone.
I'm sure I'm going to win, whatever.
Pretend like there's a happy ending going on over there. Just
we were talking a while ago, and we were like, I hope they don't really ask us about our brackets, but it's fine. I originally had all my Elite 8 1 and 2s, and that never happened, so
yikes.
It's all good.
Well, I thought it'd be cool if Eastern went against Gonzaga, so obviously that's not going to work out. Probably wasn't likely anyway, but whatever.
So you're both working at KXLY.
Yeah.
But you're both doing pretty different things. So what would you guys say are some skills from GUTV that come in handy for each of your jobs?
I use the skills I learned in GUTV every day. Just the basics of writing and shooting, editing, just all those basics, and then also the more, kind of like I said in my little blurb on there, the ethical things and kind of the critical thinking skills that you need to use. And yeah, so directly I use the skills I learned here every day in my job.
Yeah, I'm a promo tech, so what that means is that the radio stations have sort of like pop-up tents at different like locations, whether it be a car dealership or a electronics store. And what I learned here that I apply there is it's very detail-oriented because there's a lot of things that you need in order for that to become successful. And so really paying attention to all those details. And a lot of the work really is when we're just sitting there at the booth, is being really personable to the people that walk up. So really engaging them and really just engaging with the people and letting them know that, hey, we're here for you to just have fun. And so, yeah, just the details and the personability.
Totally. And can you think of any stories in your time at GUTV that you've been like, oh, this is a lesson learned, or this is something that, you know, something crazy?
I mean, I can think of just the excuses that I would always come up with, and when I was trying to talk to Dan, just, you know, about why something didn't happen or why something wasn't color corrected or just whatever it was. There was always, in my mind, it was a really good reason, you know. And Dan, one of the biggest lessons I learned from him is to just get out of that excuse mindset, because no one cares what your reasoning was. If it looks crappy to the viewer, that's it, you know, that's all that matters. And so, you know, I see that in my job sometimes, as some people still try to make those excuses, and it doesn't go over well in the professional world either. So that's a big takeaway that I've gotten.
You're saying you know better because you were GUTV raised.
Of course,
so.
Yeah.
For me, so I really gained my confidence in front of the camera here at GU, and with that being said, they gave me a lot of room to mess up. We did a cooking show. It was a cook-off competition at Second Harvest, and so I was just ad-libbing some lines, and one of the lines I said was, don't move a beat, we'll be right back. What does don't move a beat? I don't know what don't move a beat means. Don't move a beat, but I don't know. But here really affords you the opportunity to make those mistakes, and therefore I gain that confidence because I can learn from those. So,
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, do you guys have any advice for any underclassmen who are, you know, kind of like lower in the GUTV game so far, but are aiming towards broadcasting?
Yeah, I think if you're interested in it all, just kind of dive in and do, you know, suggest different ideas of different things you can do and just get creative with it, because this is a time when you can be really creative and figure out what you want to be doing. You know, maybe news isn't necessarily your path, but there's so many things that you can do these days with becoming a YouTube star, you know, just so many other things you can do that I would just get creative with it and just have fun. It's just a really fun time in your life.
Great.
Something that I've been repeating in my own head is do great at a few things instead of being mediocre at a lot of things. And so my advice, I guess, is to really focus on your craft and the things that you're really passionate about. Just because you're involved in so many things doesn't mean you're going to be great at what you want to do or what you're passionate about is. So really focus on your passion.
That's great advice. Thank you guys so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, next week, we'll find out if both ZAG teams make it to the Final Four and see how great or terrible for some of us our brackets are doing. Tune in next Monday at 5 p.m. for the next GUTV Bracketology. I'm Maggie Fisher. Have a good night.